Xbox Game Pass provides us with over $6,000 worth of games, and it can be very hard to narrow down what to play out of a selection of over 400 games. That is why today we'll be covering the 20 best Xbox Game Pass games you need to play this September. We will be doing a new list like this every single month, as we want to showcase new and underrated games you might have never experienced before on Xbox Game Pass. With that in mind, my name is Fletcher, this is Xbox Nation. Subscribe for more Xbox content every single day, and let's dive right in. Have you ever fantasized about living the life of a Viking? Well, I have as well. Valheim totally scratches that entire itch. You're thrown into a massive procedurally generated world that feels like a living, breathing Viking saga. I found myself spending hours just sailing across dangerous seas, braving storms, only to land on some mysterious island crawling with trolls. The world feels absolutely alive, and the survival mechanics keep you on your toes. What's even better about this game is the co-op mode, as you and up to 9 friends can build an entire Viking settlement, raiding enemies and exploring this entire world together. Nothing really beats teaming up with your crew for some Viking style mayhem, whether that's just constructing epic forts or braving boss battles. It's all just incredibly satisfying, and you'll definitely lose track of time. There's something about Dragon Age Inquisition that always keeps pulling me back. Maybe it's the way your decisions shape the world, or maybe it's just the brilliantly written characters. As the Inquisitor, you're tasked with saving the world on the brink of destruction, and every single choice matters. Personally, I became way too attached to the characters like Iron Bull and Cassandra, and there's real depth in here, and trust me, you'll feel the same way after playing this game. The game's tactical combat system is one of my favorite features. You can slow things down, plan your moves, and execute your strategy flawlessly. It's a fantasy lover's dream with dragons, epic battles, and just the right amount of political intrigue. If you're into storytelling where your choices truly matter, this is a must-play on Xbox Game Pass. If you're like me and enjoy games that really challenge you, Remnant 2 is going to be right up your alley. It's a roguelike third-person shooter, but with a serious twist. Each run is different thanks to the procedurally generated levels. There were times where I thought I had a boss completely figured out, only to have the game throw me a completely new challenge. You can play this in co-op with friends, which makes it even more fun, and you'll need to rely on each other to take down some seriously monstrous bosses. Also, let's not forget the post-apocalyptic setting, which adds a gritty, desperate atmosphere to every single encounter. If you like a good test of skill and enjoy playing with friends, you'll love this one. When I say Chivalry 2 is medieval warfare at its finest, I really do mean it. The battles are chaotic and really over the top, and that's what makes it just so much fun. I've had moments where I've been laughing uncontrollably as I really catapult myself into enemy lines, or swing a sword wildly while chaos reigns all around me. It's competitive, sure, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. There's something hilarious about charging into battle with a bunch of other knights, only for everything to descend into utter hilarious chaos. This next game is one that really hit me on an emotional level. Somerville is just more than a game, it's a work of art. It's set during an alien invasion, and the game tells a gripping story about family, survival, and the human condition, but it does so without speaking any words. The storytelling is purely visual, relying on the environment to convey emotions, which really makes it feel more profound. I found myself getting emotionally invested in ways that I just wasn't expecting, and the atmosphere is haunting and beautiful at the same time, and it's just one of those games that really sticks with you long after the credits roll. If you're in the mood for something more artistic and introspective, then don't miss this hidden gem. If you're a fan of games like Minecraft or Terraria, then you're gonna fall in love with Core Keeper. It's an underground adventure where you dig, build, and explore a procedurally generated subterranean world. I spent way too many hours already since its Game Pass launch crafting my own underground empire, slowly expanding and discovering new treasures and challenges along the way. What really makes this game stand out is the way it seamlessly combines exploration, crafting, and combat. There's always something new to uncover, and with the procedurally generated map, every playthrough feels fresh and different. Plus, the co-op mode in this game means you can dive into the fun with friends, which makes it even more engaging. If you want a fast-paced action shooter, then look no further than Titanfall 2. I've played a lot of first-person shooters over the years, but few have matched the sheer fluidity of movement you get in this game. The parkour-style gameplay lets you wall run, slide, and double jump around the battlefield, making every single encounter feel dynamic and exhilarating. terrifying. And then there are the Titans, giant mechs that you can pilot into battle at a call of a button. The single player campaign is one of the best I've played in any FPS to date, with a story that pulls on you from the start. If you're looking for an adrenaline rush with a great narrative, Titanfall 2 is that game, and there's a reason why many heavily praise it, and it's heavily underrated. I really wasn't too sure what to expect from Lies of P, a dark gothic take on Pinocchio, but wow, this game is really something special. It has all the precision-based combat of a Souls game, so if you're into games that challenge your reflexes and patience, you will absolutely love it. The dark Victorian-inspired world is hauntingly beautiful, and the atmosphere alone is enough to keep you hooked. It's a perfect blend of gothic horror, intricate lore, and difficult but rewarding combat, and yet it's not every day you get to play as a twisted version of Pinocchio. If you're a fan of Bloodborne or Dark Souls, this one will make you feel right at home. Dead Cells is a game that I've just lost countless hours to. It's one of those games where you die, and instead of getting frustrated, you immediately want to jump back in just for another try. The fast-paced combat is exhilarating, with tons of weapons, upgrades, and abilities to experiment with. The procedural levels keep everything fresh, and no two runs in this game are the same. I can't count how many times I've just said just one more run, only to realize the sun's coming up. So if you love a good challenge and the satisfaction of mastering a tough game, then Dead Cells is one game that I highly recommend. When it comes to unleashing pure chaos, few games do it better than Doom Eternal. From the moment you pick up that first shotgun and start blasting demons, the game grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go. The combat is fast, aggressive, and relentless, and the soundtrack amps you for every encounter. What I really love most is how Doom Eternal forces you to constantly switch tactics. Whether you're just low on ammo, health, or armor, the game pushes you to stay on the move, always hunting for that next opportunity. The platforming elements surprisingly fit right into the fast-paced action, adding a layer of challenge I didn't expect. Every demon you face feels like its own puzzle, and I find myself grinning as I juggle weapons, powers, and strategies just to stay alive. It really is a visceral, adrenaline-pumping experience, and if you're in the mood for some demon slaying, this is the game to scratch that itch. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is hands down one of the best entries in the series, and that's really saying something. Playing as Eivor, a Viking warrior leading raids across the English countryside, feels incredibly empowering. I really remember spending hours just exploring the massive open world, losing myself in the beauty of the landscapes, the snow-covered mountains, lush forest, and ancient ruins. What really stuck with me was just how the game balances brutal combat with moments of quiet exploration. One minute you're leading a raid, torching enemy strongholds, and the next you're just sitting on a hill, taking in a stunning view or solving a clever puzzle. The Norse mythology woven into the story really adds a mystical layer to it all, and I couldn't get enough of the rich atmospheric storytelling. If you love open world games with a ton of content, then you're in for an absolute treat. Horror fans, this next one is for you. The Resident Evil 3 remake cranks up the tension to an 11. Nemesis, the towering, unstoppable monster hunting you throughout this game, creates a constant sense of dread, and every encounter leaves you on the edge. I remember being genuinely terrified as I tried to survive in this claustrophobic, zombie-infested streets of Raccoon City, and what really gets me is how the game combines tight action with moments of pure horror. In this game, you never really know when Nemesis will burst through a wall or drop down from above, and it really keeps your heart racing the entire time. The updated visuals and modernized controls make the experience even more immersive, and I found myself constantly strategizing on how to manage my limited resources. Mafia Definitive Edition is like stepping into a classic gangster film, and I love it. The 1930s setting is beautifully recreated, and the story of Tommy, a taxi driver turned mobster, is gripping from start to finish. What really drew me in was the attention to detail in the world building. Every street corner and every building feels like it has a story to tell, and driving through the city gives you a real sense of time and place. The narrative is quite a slow burn, but I found myself getting deeply invested in Tommy's rise through the ranks of the entire mob. The mission design strikes a perfect balance between high-stakes action and quieter character-driven moments, making it feel like you're living out your own gangster saga. This game only recently got added onto Xbox Game Pass, and it's well worth playing if you haven't experienced this fantastic new gem. If co-op shooters are more your thing, then Warhammer 40k Darktide is an absolute blast. Set in the gritty Warhammer 40k universe, it's all about teamwork and strategy as you and your friends take on waves of terrifying enemies. What I really love about Dark Tide is just how it throws you into a chaotic situation where you and your squad will need to coordinate perfectly just to survive. The mix of melee and ranged combat keeps things interesting, as one moment you're slicing through enemies with your chainsword, and the next thing you're picking them off from a distance with a heavy bolter. The gritty, oppressive atmosphere of the Warhammer universe really comes through perfectly, and its thrilling fight for survival in such a bleak world. ReCore doesn't get as much attention as it deserves in my opinion. The mix of platforming, puzzle solving and combat really keeps things fresh, but what really stood out to me is the bond you form between your robotic companions. Each companion in this game has unique abilities that you need to utilize in both combat and exploration, and upgrading them adds a rewarding layer of incredible depth. I found myself getting attached to these robotic sidekicks in a way that I just did not expect. The desert planet setting adds a unique sci-fi flair that I really enjoyed, with environments that felt both alien but oddly familiar. It's a game that might have flown under the radar for some, but if you're into action adventure with a touch of sci-fi, then definitely give it a go. There's a reason why I picked up the collector's edition of this game recently, as it's one game that has really stuck with me since the Xbox One generation. Requiem continues the story of Amicia and Hugo, and it's every bit as gripping as the first game. This time, the stakes are even higher, and the emotional weight of the story is just palpable. I was constantly on the edge of my seat as I tried to guide Amicia and Hugo through a world ravaged by plague and political strife. The stealth mechanics in this game are tense, with every wrong move potentially leading to disaster, and the puzzles are very clever without being too overwhelming. What really struck me was the way the game balances heart-wrenching story moments with thrilling gameplay. I found myself genuinely invested in the characters and their entire journey. It's a beautifully told story set against a grim, plague-ridden backdrop, and if you're looking for something that tugs at your heartstrings whilst also challenging your mind, then this is the one. I've always been a huge fan of strategy games, so Gears Tactics was right up my alley when it first got revealed. It's a smart tactical take on the Gears of War franchise, with turn-based combat mechanics that rewards careful planning and strategic thinking. What I really love most about this game is how it balances strategy with the fast-paced action that Gears is really known for. Every mission feels like a puzzle where you have to outthink your enemies, positioning your squads to maximize damage while avoiding getting overwhelmed. The ability to upgrade and customize your squad really adds a layer of personalization that kept me engaged throughout the experience, and I really found myself getting attached to these brand new characters. If you're a fan of strategy games or just the Gears of War series in general, then you'll need to check out this one on Xbox Game Pass. I can't talk about Rise of the Tomb Raider without gushing about how much I love playing as Lara Croft. This game nails the sense of adventure, whether you're just scaling mountains, exploring ancient tombs, or battling enemies in the underground wild. The environments are absolutely breathtaking, from snow-covered Siberian landscapes to intricate hidden temples, and the puzzles just feel right in terms of difficulty. What kept me hooked in this game was the perfect balance between exploration, combat, and storytelling. Lara's journey in this game feels deeply personal, and the way the narrative intertwines with her growth as a character kept me fully invested. If you love action-adventure games with a healthy dose of exploration, then Rise of the Tomb Raider is an absolute must-play on Game Pass. Sometimes you just need something relaxing, and that's where Jusant comes in. It's a minimalist puzzle platformer where you spend most of your time climbing and solving physics-based puzzles. There's no rush, there's no pressure, just you and the beautiful, serene world. It's the perfect way to unwind after a hectic gaming session, and if you're looking for something peaceful and thoughtful, this is a great choice. This is such a hidden indie gem, and so many people overlook it, but trust me, it's an experience that will stick with you long after it ends. Lastly, there's Sunset Overdrive, a game that embraces pure, over-the-top fun. The movement mechanics are what make this game stand out, as you're constantly grinding on rails, jumping and dashing around, all while shooting at waves of mutants. There is a lovely comic book aesthetic to this game, where every single explosion or mutant dying has text popping on the screen. The game really doesn't take itself too seriously, which is exactly which makes it so enjoyable. It's vibrant, chaotic, and just plain fun, and there is a reason why many consider it to be a massively underrated Xbox exclusive. If you need a break from more serious games, then Sunset Overdrive is a perfect palate cleanser. What game do you like the look of from this video, and are there any hidden gems that we missed? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe as we do videos like this every single day. Whilst here, why don't you check out one of our most recent videos covering the 15 huge single player games coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2025.